Julia Bue-Said is with me, Chief Executive Advantage of the Advantage Travel Partnership. It's a global leisure and business travel network. Hello, Julia.
Good morning, Andrew.
Right, changes once again. I was very surprised to see this, weren't you?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I've woken up with a really bad hangover, to be honest with you. Friday nights definitely aren't the same as they used to be. No, I think, after, let's not forget this week also we had the change to the traffic light list. So there was ample opportunity to communicate as effectively as the government possibly can with us all. But chose, as you said, 8 o'clock on Friday night to communicate a really big change. And what we're finding is hopes are raised one week and we go in these cycles when they're dashed the next. So this is really not great at all.
Right. So people arriving in England from France will have to isolate for 10 days regardless of their COVID status. Is
Absolutely.
That right? Okay.
That's correct. So so the rules as they stand right now today. So if you were travelling back today from any amber list country, you would still need to follow those rules. Those restrictions still apply.
Yeah.
The change was coming into effect obviously on Monday, and that will no longer apply for France. So yes, that's correct.
So this is not hotel quarantine.
No.
And you are still able to take a test after day 5. That's a PCR test, isn't it, after day 5?
It is, that's right, yes. So the rules as they were previously, and I think what's happened, our hopes were all raised when, Grant Shapps announced amber list countries could now, no need to self-isolate for the vaccinated. Up until then, this wouldn't have been a change, it would have been current policy. But I think, people have made plans, businesses have made plans, families are planning to reunite people based on the fact of this new policy, and now will unfortunately be faced in a situation where they will need to self-isolate and take another test, day 5 test, if they want to reduce their period of self-isolation at home.
God almighty.
It's a mess. It is.
In all seriousness, okay, so changes once again for people to deal with. A lot of conversation, a lot of people are having is, are you going away this summer? Potentially before the schools go back, are we going to get a break? And I have just felt personally that I can't be bothered to try and navigate the system, and there others have sort of gone and come back and said, yeah, it was fine. So I don't know. How do you feel about it? You're probably going to say yes, definitely going to go abroad and deal with it. But I just maybe I'm just lazy. I just can't be dealing with all this.
No, I think. Well, I don't think you're lazy. I think that there is a sentiment definitely that we all feel that way, even those in the industry, because of the change in rules. I did go to Portugal. Feels like ages ago now. A couple of months ago, that back in May when restrictions were lifted, and having experienced it, having gone through it then. Actually, once you've done it, it is straightforward. And I think the problem we've all got also is very few travellers have travelled, in the last few months. Even from a travel perspective, we have very few travel agents that have travelled. So that's how you gain confidence. And I think what we are seeing now as more travellers, want to travel, have to travel, need to travel, we'll all start to feel a lot more comfortable. Notwithstanding all of that, if you're travelling this year, you really have to make sure that you've got flexibility, you check your booking terms and conditions, really careful who you book with, make sure you can speak to a human. And that sounds really silly, but that's been one of the biggest frustrations a lot of travellers have had when they can't get through to people. Speak to a human travel agent, but you're doing so in knowing that changes may come afoot. So I think that's the reality.
Well, that's very interesting, actually. When it comes to customer service, an awful lot of companies. I mean, if I pick up one more phone and it says, we value your business, but due to COVID, health and safety of our employees, blah blah blah. Listen, they're working from home. Get them on the phone. You don't care about my business at all. And government departments are some of the worst at that, and local authorities as well. It's just absolutely horrendous. So when it comes to speaking to a human being, I'm right with you. Trouble is, humans cost money, don't they?
They do. But I think in this circumstance, business, and I've certainly seen it in the travel industry, we're doing everything we can to make sure that, consumers can speak to a human and to help them through these really, challenging times.
But all you're doing now is just taking money from people and then giving it back again.
Well, I can tell you what's happened over the last 60 months, certainly in the travel agent community. Nobody's made any money whatsoever. It's only refunds, it's amendments, it's cancellations, it's rebookings. There is minimal income coming through. But yeah.
No, I've got a text here. I wonder if you can respond to this. Hi, Andrew. I'm in France trying to come home. The French news says the decision is entirely political, as there are very few cases of the beta virus in France. That's the South African variant. What do you make of that text?
Oh, it's just, I mean, I think we're none of us are naive to not expect there to be politics in some of this decision making. And I think when we look at the COVID rates, you know, particularly when you compare them to the UK, you've got to say, actually, where is the logic in these decisions that have been made? But Andrew, I think the challenge here is actually there is no transparency in the decision making with the data. So that's the travel industry doesn't get to see how the decisions are made, what algorithms are being used. So I think the text that's come through there, I'd say actually wouldn't surprise me whatsoever.
Julia, thank you. Bue-Said, Chief Exec of Advantage Travel Partnership, a global leisure and business travel network. 8:47 is the time. Saturday morning, this is LBC.